562. Yeah, class number 562. I'm on translation list 9, page 88 in Learn to Speak Up, page 88. And I'm on number 11, starting on number 11. Yesterday, the last sentence yesterday was, si hubiera habido tormenta, no habrías asistido a la clase, se entiende. If there had been, si hubiera habido, if there had been a storm, you wouldn't have attended. All right, number 11. Si hubieras ofrecido más dinero, yo habría aceptado. If you had offered more money, or if you'd offer me, if you had offered more money, I would have accepted. Yeah, but you're a cheapskate. A cheapskate. Cheap es como barato. Yeah, cheap. Skate como patinar sobre hielo, o con patines. Yeah, skate. Pero entonces es un pesetero. ¿Ya no se dice pesetero? Sí. No. O hay que decir eurotero. no suena. All right. Pesetero. It's interesting. Todavía se dice ni dos duros. No le doy ni dos duros. That's it. We still retain vocabulary from 30 years ago and things. All right, but in any case, si hubieras ofrecido más dinero, yo habría aceptado. If you had offered. Fíjate como la D de had se enlaza con la O de offered. If you had offered more money, if you had offered more money, I would have accepted. I would have accepted. I would have accepted, but you didn't. Si Hitler no hubiera invadido Rusia, quizá hubiera ganado la guerra. If Hitler hadn't invaded Russia, or the Soviet Union, if Hitler hadn't invaded Russia, he might have won the war. Se puede que hubiera ganado. Quizá hubiera ganado. He might have won the war. You know, it's interesting. 80% of the German soldiers were in the Eastern Front, in the Soviet Union, in the East. 20% of the soldiers were in other locations, but 80%. So the Russian front was by far the most important. Now, if Hitler hadn't invaded Russia, he could have fortified Europe. The war, if Hitler hadn't invaded Russia, the war would have lasted until 1950 or longer. I don't think Hitler would have won the war. I think the United States and Great Britain, Canada, Australia, etc. would have won the war if Russia had not been involved. But it would have taken much longer. And there was the danger that Hitler and his scientists were trying to develop nuclear energy and an atomic bomb. Now, the Germans had not advanced very much successfully in developing the atomic bomb by the end of the war, by 1945. But if the war had lasted until 1950, it's very possible that in those subsequent years, the German scientists could have developed and probably would have developed a successful atomic bomb. And so it was fortunate that Hitler invaded Russia or the Soviet Union because he had to channel most of the resources of Germany to that front, to the Eastern Front. Quite interesting. So we have, si Hitler no hubiera invadido Rusia, quizá hubiera ganado la guerra. Okay, if Hitler hadn't invaded Russia, he might have won. Quizá hubiera, habría. He might have won the war. He might have won the war. All right, who knows? All right, si mi padre hubiera estado enfermo, yo no habría venido a España, originalmente. If my father had been ill at the time, a la sazón, at the time, I wouldn't have come to Spain. I wouldn't have come to Spain if my father had been ill. I wouldn't have come to Spain. Okay, si yo hubiera tenido un buen empleo en mi país, no habría venido aquí. If I had had a good job in my country, I wouldn't have come here. If I had had a good job in my country, I wouldn't have come here. If I had had, si yo hubiera tenido, if I had had a good job in my country, I wouldn't have. Los nativos dicen wouldn't have. I wouldn't have come here. That's not true. I would have come here anyway, even if I had had a good job in my country, because I was only 22 years old. And a good job at age 22 is not necessarily a good job at age 30 or age 33 or 35. I would probably have come here anyway. But in any case, de saber que estabas enfermo, no habría llamado. Had I known you were ill, I wouldn't have called. Es curioso. De haber sabido que estabas enfermo, yo no te habría llamado, ¿no? No habría llamado. Had I known you were ill, I wouldn't have called. Es otra forma de decir. In Spanish you have two. De haber sabido o si yo hubiera sabido. De haber sabido que estabas enfermo, si hubiera sabido que estabas enfermo. Those are two different ways of saying the same thing. And in English too. If I had known that you were ill, if I had known, pero una forma corta, had I known? I don't teach it. I teach it to expose you to the form, but I don't insist on this form. But it's a very good form. And in Spanish too, de haberlo sabido, de haber podido ir, etc. Yes, had I known, okay. If I, fíjate como la F manda tanto fonéticamente. If I had known that you were ill, I wouldn't have called. Yeah. Si Noé no hubiera construido el arca, habría muerto. Okay, true. If Noah hadn't built the ark, he would have died. Yeah, he would have died. But he built the ark. Yeah, he built the ark successfully. Yeah, and then he put all the animals in the ark. Yeah, I remember two giraffes. He was pushing two giraffes up the ramp into the ark. He was pushing two giraffes. And God said, Noah, those are two male giraffes. No. Yeah, they're two males. You made a mistake. So we'll change one of them. He says, Noah. So Noah had to go back out and find a female giraffe. And then push them back up into the ark. But then the unicorn, el unicornio, he found the male unicorn. Fine. And the female was playful, huetona. And the female said, you can't catch me. Catch me if you can. Catch me if you can. And he tried, and it started raining. It started sprinkling. And Noah had a dilemma of catching the female unicorn. He had the male, but then he had to make a decision. And so he let the male go, and he ran back to the ark, going up. And that's why there are no unicorns today, because the female was frisky and playful. All right, si Noé no hubiera construido el arca, habría muerto. If Noah hadn't built the ark, he would have died. Si Morgan hubiera jugado, el equipo habría ganado. Okay. Si Benzema hubiera jugado, el equipo habría ganado. If Morgan had played, the team would have won. If Morgan had played, the team would have won. Yeah. If Morgan had played, the team would have won. Yeah. I remember a basketball team, and one player was so good. He was so good that the coach decided to wait until the last 10 minutes of the game to bring the player into to play. He was sitting on the bench watching the game. But he was so good that the coach was convinced that if I put him in the last 10 minutes, we'll win the game. And finally, in the last 10 minutes, he said, okay, Marco, go in. And he got up and whoop, and he twisted his ankle. He got up so fast, so ready, that he sprained his guince, and he couldn't play. So the coach made a mistake, waiting too long. All right. Si me hubieran avisado con mayor antelación, podría haber resuelto el problema. Toma. If they had notified me sooner, que fácil en inglés, if they had notified me sooner, I could have solved the problem. If they had notified me, notificado en este caso, si me hubieran avisado con mayor antelación, o sea, más pronto, sooner, if they had notified me sooner, podría haber resuelto el problema, ¿no? I could have solved the problem. I could have solved the problem. Seguido? I could have solved the problem if they had called me sooner or if they had notified me sooner, but they didn't. Si yo hubiera tenido que hacerlo, no lo habría hecho. Si hubiera tenido que hacerlo yo, no lo habría hecho. If I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. If I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. Eso es lo que dije. If I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. No way. I mean, if I had to build that ark, I mean, if Noah had, instead of Noah's ark, Richard's ark. Yeah. Can you imagine? Richard's ark. But if God had said, hey, Richard, I go, yeah? How would you like to build an ark? An ark? You mean a big ship? Yeah. Me? To build an ark? You crazy? No. Okay. So if God had asked me to do it, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah, if I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. If I had to build that ark, I said, no, yo me ahogo. Building an ark is too much work. I will join the rest and die. All right. If I had to do it, si hubiera tenido que hacerlo yo, no lo habría hecho. If I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. Preciosa gramática aquí. Hubiera tenido, had. If I had to do it, infinitivo con to do, I wouldn't have, no habría hecholo. I wouldn't have done, participio, it. If I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. If I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. I'm going to compose a song. If I had to do it, if I had to do it, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. Si pudiera haberlo evitado, lo habría evitado. If I could have avoided it, I would have avoided it. But I couldn't. If I could have avoided it, si podría haberlo evitado. If I could have avoided it, I would have avoided it. But I couldn't. It was too late. Impossible to avoid. It was impossible to avoid. Yes. I fell in love. Me enamoré perdidamente. And she was dangerous. She used black arts to get my heart. And I couldn't avoid it. And I fell into her trap, into her web. Su telaraña. Yeah. And so it was too late. I lost my head. I lost my heart and everything. Si pudiera haberlo evitado, lo habría evitado. If I could have avoided it or avoided her, I would have avoided her. Yes. But that's life. Things happen sometimes. ¿Qué habrías hecho? ¿Qué habrías hecho si yo no me hubiera... ya lo tengo. ¿Qué habrías hecho si yo no me hubiera presentado? In escena, vamos. What would you have done if I hadn't shown up? What would you have done? What would you have done if I hadn't shown up? Oh, thank God, Richard, you showed up. My God. My God. You brought the red pencil. My God, thank God you brought the red pencil, because otherwise we couldn't do these classes without the red pencil. Yeah, but there's another red pencil here somewhere. Yeah, there's another red pencil. Yeah, but we need it too. Thank God you showed up. Gracias a Dios que te hayas presentado aquí. Gracias a Dios. Thank God. Thank God you shown up. Yeah, I don't know what we would have done if you hadn't shown up. ¿Y esto dice? ¿Qué habrías hecho tú si yo no hubiera presentado? Si yo no me hubiera presentado. What would you have done if I hadn't shown up? What would you have done? What would you have done if I hadn't shown up with this red pencil? Thanks to me, this program can continue. Thanks to me, this English class can continue because I was intelligent enough to remember to bring the red pencil. All right. What would you have done? What would you have done? What would you have done? ¿Qué habrías hecho? A ver, ¿qué habrías hecho tú? What would you have done if I hadn't shown up? Huh? You're lucky I showed up. All right. ¿Dónde estoy? All right. ¿Cómo habrías ido si no hubieras tenido coche? How would you have gone if you hadn't had a car? Yeah, Richard, how would you have gone if you hadn't had a car? How would I have gone? How would I? Would I? How would I? Would I? No es un ojo de madera. Eso sí, wouldn't I? How would I? How would I have gone if I hadn't had a car? If I hadn't had a car, I would have caught a cab. You would have taken a taxi. Yes, I would have taken a taxi. I would have caught a taxi. I would have caught a cab. And if the taxi drivers had been on strike? If the taxi drivers had been on strike, I would have taken a bus or a metro or the subway. And if the public transport system had been on strike? Okay. Well, if I hadn't had a car and the taxis had been on strike and the public transport system had been on strike, de huelga todos, I would have walked. Oh, really? How long would it have taken you? It would take me about 3 days. But, to go from here to Guadalajara, it would have taken me 3 days. No, less. It would take me 2 days. No. 50 kilometers. How far is it from Madrid from Madrid to Guadalajara? It's about 50 kilometers, I think. 40 kilometers, 50. I can walk 15 kilometers. It would have taken me 3 days to walk to Guadalajara. It would have taken me. Y por último, no, hay más. All right. No habría sido aceptado si no hubiera sido firmado. No habría sido aceptado si no hubiera sido firmado. It wouldn't have been accepted if it hadn't been signed. Esto he dicho telemarinera al principio, ¿no? Esto sí. Y luego there's another page of the past conditional. No habría sido aceptado si no hubiera sido firmado o si no hubiera llegado firmado. It wouldn't have been accepted if it hadn't been signed. O al revés. If it hadn't been signed, it wouldn't have been accepted. Yes. It wouldn't have been accepted if it hadn't been signed. If it hadn't been signed, it wouldn't have been accepted. Si yo no hubiera querido hacerlo, no lo habría hecho. Si no hubiera querido hacerlo, no lo habría hecho. If I hadn't wanted to do it, I wouldn't have done it. If I hadn't wanted to do it, I wouldn't have done it. I guarantee you, my friend, I did it because I wanted to do it. I did it. I said yes to come here and give these English classes. I came here. I said yes to Televisión Española. And I didn't say yes because I needed the money. No. I said yes because I wanted to do it. If I hadn't wanted to do it, I wouldn't have done it. If I hadn't wanted to do this, I wouldn't have done it. Do you understand? The structure, if I hadn't wanted to do it, I wouldn't have. If I hadn't, wouldn't have. Esto de had, would have, o negativo, hadn't, wouldn't have, no cambia. No cambia. ¿Ok? No cambia. Es como el color de este libro, blanco y azul. No cambia. Had, would have. Had to, comma, would have. Y luego los participios correspondientes. Gone, taken, eaten, seen, done, etc. Si no hubiera querido hacerlo, no lo habría hecho, ¿no? If I hadn't wanted to do it, if I hadn't, I wouldn't, hadn't, wouldn't have. If I hadn't wanted to do it, I wouldn't have, hadn't, wouldn't have done it. All right. It's in Spanish too, it's standard. Si yo hubiera sabido que ibas, habría ido también. If I had known you were going, I would have gone too. If I had known you were going, I would have gone too. Yeah, I didn't know you were going. You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me you were going. You didn't tell me you were going. If I had known you were going, I would have gone too. I mean, I didn't want to go. But I didn't know that you were planning to go. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you, Carmen Chu? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? I mean, I didn't go because I didn't feel like going. No fui porque no me apetecía de la verdad. I didn't really feel like going, but I didn't know that you were planning to go. If I had known you were going, si hubiera sabido que ibas, were going. If I had known, had, would have. If I had known you were going, I would have gone as well. I would have gone too. All right, if I had known. But I didn't know. You didn't tell me. All right. Translation booklet, list number 7, page 210. All right. ¿Con quién tienes que hablar? Who do you have to talk to? Se dice en inglés hablar a, mucho más que hablar con. But don't worry. Talk with is perfect. ¿Con quién tienes que hablar? Who do you have to talk to? Who do you have to talk to? ¿Quién tienes que hablar tú a? Who do you have to talk to? Who do you have to? Me dijeron que tenía que venir aquí. They told me I had to come here. Yeah, ventanilla 22. In the ventanilla número 11. In window number 11, they told me to come here. Well, aquí no, it's not here. You need to go to window number 17. But I went to window 17 before window number 11, and they told me to go to 11. And now, that's typical bureaucracy. Okay, me dijeron que tenía que venir aquí. They told me I had to come here. No fue culpa mía. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. Nadie sabía que iba a ocurrir. Nobody knew it was going to happen. What? The volcano. Nobody knew it was going to happen. The people in Pompeii, nobody knew that Vesuvius was going to blow. Nobody knew. The day before, they said, oh, by the way, tomorrow Vesuvius is going to erupt, and so I'm going to take my holidays today. I'm going to leave and go to Rome. Well, nobody knew. Nobody knew that the volcano was going to erupt. Erupcionar? ¿Sí dice erupcionar, no? Se dice erupcionar. We say eruptar, casi como eructar, pero eruptar con B. To erupt. When I came to Spain, I said, to burp is eructar. Como eruptar, like to erupt. He erupted. Okay. All right. To erupt. Nadie sabía que iba a ocurrir. Nobody knew it was going. It was going. Que iba a ocurrir. It was going to happen. Nobody knew it was going to happen. ¿Quieres decir que fue una sorpresa? Do you mean it was a surprise? Well, for the people in Pompeii and Herculaneum, yes, it was a surprise. Do you mean it was a surprise? Do you mean, ¿quieres decir que fue una sorpresa? Do you mean it was a surprise? No lo considero importante. I don't consider it important. I don't consider it important. Hay cosas más importantes en la vida. There are more important things in life. Come on. Learning English? Well, okay, it's important, but I guarantee you there are more important things in life than learning English. Don't you agree? Yeah? I mean, I'm teaching you English, but it's not the most important thing in life. There are other things that are more important than English. There are more important things in life. Oye, ¿le consideras un amigo? Do you consider him a friend? Yes, I do. I consider him a friend. Why? Why do you consider him a friend? Because he's loyal and a good person and a loyal person. Do you consider him a friend? ¿Qué más puedo hacer? What else can I do? ¿Qué remedio? What else? What else can I do? What else can I? What else can I do? Hago todo lo que puedo. I do everything I can. I do everything I can. I do everything I can to help you with your English. I don't know what else to do. You know? This is program number 562. I've made up to now 562 efforts of 25 minutes or 26 minutes to help you with your English. What else can I do? Stand on my head? Hacer el pino? What else can I do? Well, the only thing I can do right now is to say goodbye. See you tomorrow.